Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce just announced their engagement, and the internet went absolutely wild. Hollywood erupted in champagne toasts, Instagram stories, and endless speculation about the guest list. Fans couldn't stop talking, and every headline screamed, "Perfect couple alert." But not everyone was celebrating. Somewhere behind closed doors, Meghan Markle was reportedly pacing, frustrated and anxious, caught in a storm of emotions no one could see. She wasn't popping bottles or posting celebratory messages. She was struggling, and insiders say she was losing her composure completely. Why would Meghan Markle, someone far removed from this fairy tale engagement, be so affected by a story she isn't even part of? What could have made a Hollywood love story feel like a personal blow? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Meghan Markle hasn't exactly been having a smooth ride lately. After the initial buzz of her Netflix docuseries, Love, Meghan, things took a sharp turn in season 2. Critics who once cautiously praised her storytelling quickly shifted gears, calling out surface-level narratives and awkward attempts at empowerment that just didn't land. Audiences weren't buying it either. Ratings dropped, engagement plummeted, and the excitement that once surrounded her brand seemed to vanish overnight. Fans who had rooted for her pivot to meaningful storytelling were left disappointed, and the media's attention started to fade. For Meghan, this was more than just numbers on a screen. The flop of season 2 triggered a deep sense of urgency. She wasn't just trying to entertain. She was fighting to reclaim relevance in a world that moves fast, where the spotlight can disappear as quickly as it arrives. And that sets the stage for why a story like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's engagement hit her so hard. When Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced their engagement, the internet exploded. Headlines everywhere, social media buzzing, and fans already speculating about wedding venues. This was pure viral gold. For most, it was a celebration. For Meghan Markle, it looked like an opportunity. She reportedly saw a chance to ride the wave of pop culture frenzy, a way to bring her struggling podcast back into the spotlight. The plan was simple on paper, but bold in execution. Secure an exclusive interview with the newly engaged couple. Meghan envisioned Taylor and Travis sharing their love story on her show, creating a media frenzy and drawing millions of ears and sponsors straight to her podcast. It was a high-stakes play, a move designed to position her back in the A-list orbit. But what sounded like a winning strategy quickly ran into reality, and not the kind she had hoped for. Meghan didn't waste any time. First, she sent a personal congratulatory message to Taylor Swift, a warm, friendly video filled with smiles and praise. But the response? Silence. Not even a simple thank you. That initial cold shoulder reportedly hit her harder than she expected. Undeterred, she escalated things. Her team drafted a formal podcast invitation, framing it as a relaxed, intimate conversation about love, fame, and staying grounded. On paper, it was perfect. But Taylor and Travis's team saw it differently. Reports claim they labeled the approach as self-serving and piggybacking off the engagement hype. In other words, they didn't want to be part of Meghan's plans. Not now, and maybe not ever. Meghan's reaction behind the scenes was intense. Sources say she didn't see the problem as the idea itself, but as a failure of execution. She blamed her managers, agents, even her Netflix liaison, insisting that with better negotiation and finesse, the outcome would have been different. Yet the truth was clear. It wasn't about timing or wording. Taylor and Travis simply didn't want the association, and that reality sent shockwaves through Meghan's team, leaving her scrambling to figure out the next move. Meghan didn't stop at the podcast. She floated another idea, a small cameo for Taylor and Travis in her planned holiday special, something festive but low-key. But once again, the answer was a firm no. That rejection hit even harder than the first, cracking the illusion that her Hollywood pull still held weight. Back at her headquarters, the atmosphere quickly soured. Meetings grew tense, phone calls clipped, and the polished confidence Meghan had always relied on began to fracture. Staff described it as walking on eggshells. Every conversation fraught with uncertainty. Every suggestion met with skepticism or frustration. For Meghan, the stakes weren't just about a missed interview or cameo. They symbolized something deeper, the fear of fading into irrelevance. She became increasingly obsessed with securing big celebrity names, convinced that one high-profile guest could restore her media clout. Every no intensified her sense of urgency, fueling long nights of planning, strategizing, and rehearsing potential pitches. But with each closed door, Her isolation grew, and the pressure mounted. Meghan was no longer just a star chasing opportunities. She was someone fighting to prove she still mattered in a world that seemed to be moving on without her. With doors closing all around her, Meghan made a bold decision. If the guests wouldn't come to her, she would carry the show herself. She turned the cameras and microphones inward, producing solo episodes where she shared personal reflections on resilience, self-worth, and rewriting your story when no one else is listening. The episodes were heartfelt, even moving at times. Meghan poured her energy into crafting narratives that she hoped would resonate, hoping her voice alone could capture attention and spark conversation. She rehearsed lines, curated every visual detail, and spoke with the charisma and polish that had once made her a headline magnet. But the reality didn't match the vision. When the episodes went live, they were met with polite curiosity rather than excitement. There were a few shares on Twitter, some mentions in minor gossip blogs, but the buzz she had imagined never materialized. The numbers trickled in slowly, engagement remained modest, and the media largely ignored the release. Meghan faced a stark truth. Even heartfelt content can struggle without the pull of high-profile guests or viral headlines. Her solo effort was admirable, but it wasn't enough to reclaim the spotlight she had once dominated. As Meghan's solo episodes struggled to gain traction, whispers began circulating in Hollywood. Insiders described her as pushy, overreaching, even desperate, someone trying too hard to reclaim a spotlight that had quietly shifted elsewhere. The perception wasn't flattering, and it spread fast. Netflix, once a major partner, showed little interest in promoting her new projects. Sponsors, who had previously lined up for her name, hesitated or ignored outreach completely. The media, always chasing the next viral story, moved on, turning its attention to fresher headlines, new celebrity moments, and the Taylor Travis engagement that kept dominating feeds. Meghan, once the center of every major tabloid splash, found herself scrolling through coverage from a distance, reflecting on how quickly influence and fame can fade. She saw the stark contrast between her past prominence and her current relevance gap, realizing that navigating Hollywood wasn't just about creating content. It was about timing, perception, and the elusive currency of attention. Determined not to disappear entirely, Meghan pivoted to a new idea, a documentary series highlighting unsung women of impact. On paper, it was inspiring, a chance to showcase powerful stories that might otherwise go unnoticed. But the reality was far more complicated. Production logistics, licensing, travel, and the need for network partnerships quickly turned the project into a massive challenge. Even with funding in hand, Meghan struggled to secure the collaborations necessary to bring her vision to life. Responses from networks were polite but non-committal, while some never replied at all. Meanwhile, her team continued to shrink. Longtime staffers quietly left, leaving only a skeleton crew of loyalists and a handful of overpaid consultants who couldn't reverse the trend. The isolation weighed heavily. Without major names to draw attention, without sponsors or media interest, Meghan's influence had dwindled. Projects stalled, momentum faded, and the woman who once commanded headlines on both sides of the Atlantic found herself navigating a quieter, more uncertain world. Still striving to make an impact, but confronting the harsh reality that fame and relevance are never guaranteed. Meghan Markle's journey shows just how relentless the pursuit of relevance can be, and how quickly the tides of fame can shift. Even someone who once dominated headlines, who moved in the most powerful circles, can face rejection, isolation, and stalled projects. It's a reminder that in Hollywood and in life, visibility is fragile, and influence is never permanent. Behind every glamorous headline, there are unseen struggles, failed plans, and lessons learned the hard way. Even the most celebrated power players must navigate setbacks, recalibrate, and find new ways to rise.